photograph that's at least twice as old as you and me is a living witness to history, as well as the protagonist of its own tale, sometimes entirely fantastical. In this series, we've gathered 50 rare archival photographs for you, and some of these images cannot even be explained by scientists. Let's embark on a virtual journey through the corridors of time, where incredible events, legends, and real characters come to life, along with something utterly unreal. You're on the TopFacts channel, and let's piece together these fragments of untold stories. Do you want to travel back in time to the Wild West to experience the real gold rush? Can you believe your eyes when you see those very enthusiasts who rushed to the Canadian Northwest in 1896, driven by a painful thirst for wealth? It was a crazy time when the dollar signs shone in the eyes of hunters instead of pupils. In this rare snapshot from 1899, we find ourselves in a time when not everyone had cameras. But even individual frames are enough to assess how arduous the extraction was in both direct and metaphorical senses. Harsh reality, unsanitary conditions, dysentery and malaria, hostility and rivalry. Every day was a struggle for food and survival. It wasn't a circle of like-minded people having tea in Boston. Remember the MGM company's logo, the famous lion's roar on the screen? Let's step into the glamorous world of Hollywood and take a look at the iconic Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer talisman behind the scenes. Since 1917, MGM featured 11 different lions in the logo, each of which added majesty to the company's image. And now we transport you to 1928, to the very moment when the original living logo, Leo the Lion, was captured on film. An incredible shot featuring fearless American photographer James Ricalton in the company of two towering Indians, taken in 1903. It's unknown how their paths crossed, what led these mystical figures to encounter the photographer, but any camera master would envy this shot. East and West come together during crucial negotiations at the dawn of the era of diplomacy, a rare image capturing the delegation of the last Japanese shogunate in Paris. In the photo, we see the French commander of the Imperial Guard Cavalry, Sigismond Guillaume de Berkheim, and Kawazu Sukakuni, the trusted representative of the mission, accompanied by Mitsuke, a position akin to an inspector, Kawada Hiromu. Historically, Japan had been a closed-off country to foreigners, but in the mid-19th century, the Japanese elite decided to break the country's isolation from the rest of the world. Due to the escalating military situation, Japan was forced to establish contacts with Western powers. Thus, the Ikeda Mission of 1864 emerged, aimed at negotiating the opening of Japanese ports for international trade. This photograph is a testament to a turning point in history, how our world irreversibly changed as nations learned to engage through trade relations and cultural exchange. Before us is a photograph where the inventor Charles S.L. Baker and his assistant in 1906 demonstrate a heating system, the first radiator. From a young age, Charles Louis Baker tirelessly worked to uncover the secrets of friction. Decades of experimentation led him, in 1904, to create a device consisting of rotating wooden and metallic cylinders. He then founded a company for boiler production. Driven by boundless ambition, Baker claimed that his invention could utilize any energy source, promising to illuminate and warm homes at half the cost. Isn't it a marvel? In this captivating double exposure image, the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla is revealed. This photograph was taken in 1899 in his laboratory in Colorado Springs. Alongside Tesla's mischievous electrical tail, he sent a message through time, writing a note to his friend William Crookes. To my celebrated friend Sir William Crookes, whom I always think of and to whose courteous letters I never reply. At this moment, New York with all its achievements remained far behind, and Tesla stepped into eternity. The dazzling displays of electricity that could be touched intrigued everyone, teasing the world with the ability to tap into Earth's hidden energy reserves. Another incredible historical moment, the invention of the phonograph, a device for recording and reproducing sound. Familiar to us, Thomas Edison and his colleagues illuminated the planet with revolutionary technologies. Now we have entered a new era. Shedding light, we can freeze time in a photograph and capture sound. This trap is called a phonograph. Explaining how it works is complex, almost as miraculous as the light bulb. But we can remember the date and place of its discovery, April 18, 1878, Washington, D.C. Thomas Edison's contribution to the progress of humanity is truly immeasurable. By the way, this sound is also recorded thanks to his discovery. Hey, can you hear my voice? And as for me, I'm in a different place right now. That's quite the trick, isn't it? A captivating moment frozen in time. In the year 1911, a mighty airship from the electromechanical factory of Siemens Schuckert took to the sky. We witness its inaugural test flight, the culmination of the tireless efforts of the brilliant minds team. The ambitious and innovative airship Marvel challenged conventions, replacing the old rigid structure with a revolutionary design. This aerial marvel, with 500 horsepower, effortlessly reached a speed of 72 kilometers per hour with an 11-member crew on board. Before our eyes, the living winds of progress carry humanity to new heights. Wilhelm von Siemens' hangar transports you to the dawn of the 20th century when dreams of flight turned into obsession and the sky beckoned with endless possibilities. In 1907, the factory began constructing a hangar for airships, as advanced explorers like Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin and other aviation pioneers were already soaring in the skies. Inspired by their triumphs, Wilhelm von Siemens was determined to advance this technological marvel. Thus, the expansive aero garage designed by the brilliant Karl Janisch appeared in the estate of Bischofsdorf. This monumental structure was not just a large parking space, it was a witness to the birth of a new era, the era of aviation. We are currently witnessing a historic moment, the beginning of the era of human flight. In Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in 1903, the first airplane took to the air, an epic milestone. The history of aviation is unfolding before our eyes. The sand dunes of this place immortalize the Wright brothers. They chose this barren land with steady winds for their experimental flights. And now, this city has become the cradle of aviation, and we have a photo of the first takeoff of an airplane on Earth. On the archipelago of Spitsbergen, 1,200 kilometers from the North Pole, stands the city of Ny-Ålesund. And on its central avenue, facing the arrivals, stands a weathered bronze bust dedicated to the most famous guest. Roald Engelbert Gravning Amundsen, a legendary Norwegian explorer, welcomes tourists and locals, the dog sled teams flying by. It was here that he walked the earth for the last time on that fateful morning of May 16th, 1926. The monumental journey aboard the mighty airship Norway, with a brave crew of 15, started with a tailwind. They ascended towards the North Pole, defying gravity and inscribing their names in the annals of history. It is known that Amundsen perished in the expedition to rescue his companion, Umberto Nobile. A mesmerizing scene from Egypt, frozen in time in this charming photograph from 1917. Behold the wonderful panorama with lush greenery, a true oasis in the desert. This rare image encapsulates enchanting nostalgia and the serenity of a bygone era. The sands are eternal, the pyramids immortal, the camel leisurely strolls, and no one is in a hurry. We are now going to the 1920s and attending a spiritual session where something unusual will happen. The ethereal and the earthly will converge in a magical interaction and lift a musical instrument into the air. This otherworldly phenomenon occurred during a gathering where the living sought to communicate with the departed. It's strange how this instrument could have helped them. Perhaps they were summoning the spirit of an Arabian Paganini? This moment was captured in Cromwell, England, just after the end of World War I. The entire flight crew gathered for a final group photograph. They wanted to preserve a cherished memory of their time together, but the tragic imprint of war marked this frame as well. Freddie Jackson, an aircraft mechanic, tragically died shortly before the photo was taken in a heart-wrenching accident. He accidentally walked into a spinning propeller. When the photo was developed, a wave of horror swept through the group. Behind one of the pilots in the frame, a pale, shadowed face was visible, unmistakably Freddie's, recognized by those who knew him well. On that same morning before the shoot, his memorial service had taken place, and he should not have been present in the photo at all. The ghostly image stood with an uncovered head, unlike the caps worn by the officers surrounding him. Could it be that even after death, Freddie found a way to join the final photo with his comrades? Skeptics claim that during the flash, the pilot accidentally duplicated his image. But then, where did the cap disappear to? Do you believe in ghosts? A revolutionary achievement in American history and its pivotal moment. In this photograph, we see the junction of railroad tracks. This meeting was called the Promontory Summit and took place in the state of Utah. On May 10, 1869, the railroad connected distant parts of the vast continent. In our day, we take modern conveniences like highways and satellite communication for granted. But back then, this monumental project signified the effort of thousands of people. We are fortunate to witness this, a remarkable event frozen in time not only through these photographs, but even captured on film. Let's give a standing ovation. In the past, accidents on the railway were more common in the United Kingdom and often led to tragic outcomes. Fortunately, such incidents are extremely rare today, but let's travel back to December 17, 1915, when at the junction in St. Bede near Jarrow, early in the morning at 7:20 in the fog, a freight train passed a signal box and onto the main track. The accident occurred due to a signalman's mistake. He didn't see that the freight train had derailed and its locomotive had fallen onto the track. This blocked the way for a passenger train traveling from South Shields to Newcastle. The passenger train collided with the fallen locomotive at a speed of 30 miles per hour, causing two carriages to overturn and become entangled with other wreckage. The most horrifying part was that the lighting in the carriages was gas-based, and the passenger compartments caught fire, resulting in the deaths of 19 people, including a firefighter, and 81 others were injured. The driver of the freight train was also at fault. He waited for 17 minutes without sending anyone to the signal box to report the incident. Had he done so, there might have been an accident instead of a catastrophe. The major accidents of 1907 and 1915 became the most significant in terms of casualties in the United Kingdom. We are all familiar with the heart-wrenching story of the Titanic, and our hearts still ache for the lost lives. But in this rare photograph, we see the ship alive and undamaged, as they say, sailing at full speed. Imagine if this moment could truly be frozen in time, and the hopeful and excited passengers never had to experience the ice, horror, and death. Here's another echo of the Titanic tragedy, a photo from the deck of the ship Carpathia, which answered the desperate call and came to the rescue. This snapshot was taken by one of its passengers at the moment when the survivors, driven to madness by fear and loss, arrived on the Carpathia in lifeboats. It's such a pity there couldn't have been many more of them. The apparent simplicity of the scene hides the consequences of a painful night, and those who remained alive in the relentless sea will never forget those who went into the depths with the magnificent yet defeated giant ship. A pivotal moment in history. Sunday, September 3rd, 1967. Sweden undergoes radical changes. The country switches from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic. But isn't what we see in the photo a kind of chaos? This is no walk in the park. Chaos in the streets and horror on people's faces are evident. Proof lies in the morning of the first day. The implementation of this innovation is far from ideal, even if it's a Sunday. We suppose local pubs and bars were packed to the brim by noon, and here we call it the National Tin Day. In the same 1920s, when some delved into mysticism to give themselves a thrill, a group of daredevils set out for the same tangible material height, seeking adventure in the sky. In this snapshot, fearless skyscraper builders are captured challenging human capabilities. Workers hang onto chains suspended in the air on the side of the under-construction tower. Their courage defies logic, and their audacity knows no bounds. Surely, it's fun to sway in the wind at Statue of Liberty face level without any safety harness? Tell me, the construction site of skyscrapers was like honey spread for all kinds of tricks. Acrobats Charlie Smith, Jewel Waddock, and Jimmy Kerrigan amazed the world with their stunning act. Imagine them balancing on a narrow ledge 86 stories high in the sky above Manhattan. It's like standing on a strip of newspaper in open space. Without any safety nets or enhancements, only builders of a monumental scale and window cleaners could understand the level of adrenaline these acrobats felt. The only people who conquered the Empire State Building and left everyone who saw this performance breathless. By the way, they were invited again to repeat the stunt. By now, they've trained their nerves of steel. What do you think the structure is about? You'll never guess. Imagine an architectural, innovative masterpiece that arose in the late 19th century on the charming streets of Paris, causing indignation among many residents. They took Gustave Eiffel's creation. Yes, that very tower, without which it's now impossible to imagine the French capital. Let's go back to 1887 and look at the novelty through the eyes of contemporaries. It clearly reveled in its superiority, rising above the horizon and defying the clouds. Later, having grown fond of the Eiffel Tower, the Parisians nicknamed it La Dame de Fer, the Iron Lady. Today, this lacy metal marvel is France's pride and one of the most beloved and visited monuments in the world. But isn't it beautiful? In 1875, a charming photograph was taken, a magnificent gift from France to the United States. Here we have parts of the Statue of Liberty. We can see her hands. Skilled craftsmen sculpted the statue in Bartholdi's Paris workshop during the winter of 1882. And finally, it gained its integrity, towering over the rooftops of Paris in 1884, already beyond Bartholdi's studio. No, we didn't make a mistake. And how else to call the landing on the moon? Neil Armstrong, the first person to step on the lunar surface, is known to us from iconic photos in a spacesuit and with the flag that reads, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon." But few have seen this first space selfie he took inside the spacecraft. Need I say that all emotions are written on the astronaut's face? The 1969 expedition was a triumphant space mission for the USA, but this photo reveals the scale of one person's personal achievement in the vast expanse of the universe. During World War II, photography was widely used, and we are left with countless horrifying images as a reminder. In this shot, we witness a naval landing operation Overlord on June 6, 1944 in Normandy, where the forces of the anti-Hitler coalition allies, including the USA, Great Britain, and Canada, landed to liberate northwestern France. This single frame gives us an idea of what it was like for these brave soldiers to plunge right into the jaws of death. They were not stepping onto a ballroom floor from the ship, but into the battlefield, into the very abyss of hell. How many of them will survive an hour? Perhaps this was the last picture for many of them, true heroes of their grim era. We see a regal figure in full military attire. Can you imagine that the energetic young Queen Elizabeth worked as a mechanic during World War II? Starting in 1939, she repaired vehicles. Speaking of female power, here's someone who demonstrated true resilience, providing real assistance in wartime efforts. The Queen proved she was not just a figurehead, but a true force. Elizabeth handled mechanics in the garage with the same elegance and grace as she sipped tea from royal porcelain. What do you know about the mesmerizing phenomenon known as the Hessdalen lights? In the Norwegian valley called Hessdalen, residents began witnessing rather peculiar phenomena in the sky. It wasn't like the northern lights, comets, or alien spacecraft. To this day, the mystery remains unexplained. Mysterious lights appear during both day and night, gracefully moving through the air in flashes, streaks, patches, or shapes. They can manifest above or below the horizon, shining in bright shades of white, yellow, and red. Their unearthly silhouettes leave witnesses in awe. Sometimes, they streak across the sky at incredible speeds, and other times, they gently sway back and forth or simply hang in the air. Reports of this phenomenon date back to the 1930s, and the lights reached their peak activity from December 1981 to the middle of 1984. Tourists flocked to the valley, and the lights would appear in the sky 15 to 20 times a week. In recent years, the number of observations has decreased, but scientists are still searching for explanations, attributing it to the luminescence of sulfur gases or forms of ball lightning. Nonetheless, the enchanting Hessdalen phenomenon is a reality and a delightful surprise from nature's inventive side. In 1942, the sky over Los Angeles unexpectedly turned into a battlefield. Powerful beams pierced the sky over the City of Angels, and the only explanation was the invasion of genuine extraterrestrials. Incredibly, but a fact, here it is before you, this frame. Rays radiating like stars from a single center high in the sky, the shape of which resembles a flying saucer with lights on the underside. Admit it, the version of a Japanese attack seems quite feeble. Moreover, there were numerous real eyewitnesses to the phenomenon. Although the extraterrestrial invasion was never officially acknowledged, Stephen Nelson, the director of the Fort MacArthur Museum, stands at the center of disputes accusing official sources of hiding information. But the fact remains a fact. The long and bright tail of this enigma stretches straight into the California night sky. Deserts conceal unfathomable wonders created, however, by human hands. The secret locked within gigantic stone wheels, known as geoglyphs, massive relief drawings on the ground, spread across a vast expanse from Syria to Saudi Arabia. Invisible from the ground but clearly readable from the air, these ancient geoglyphs resemble mysterious cosmic gears. However, what do these impressive patterns mean? Only through the latest satellite cartography and aerial photography in Jordan are we beginning to uncover their true scale. Archaeologists refer to them as wheels. The circles vary in design and date back millennia. These enigmatic structures adorn lava fields, with their sizes ranging from 25 to 70 meters in diameter. And the latest photo was sent to us by our subscriber via email, assuring that it's not a fake. They didn't provide any more information about this photograph. Let's leave this photo to you for discussion in the comments. And if you also have any materials, feel free to send them to us at our email address provided in the description. So, this episode has come to an end. If you enjoyed it, I kindly ask you to like the video and leave a comment to help promote this video. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.